Hello, everybody. Welcome. Yes, I see you. Yes, I see you. God put it on my spirit to talk about this because it's one of the most common things that a lot of survivors have in common. It's a common thing, but they all have this in common because it's just that closure that we all want when we realize that we're dealing with a narcissist and that the narcissist was traumatizing us, right? So we want closure. It kind of reminds me of when you know what actually happened to you the night before. Let's say your drink gets spiked and you end up in the hospital the next day, and then now we know narcissist gives you some cockamamie story, and that's all you got to go by. So you're like, you don't know anything else. But see, when you do know that didn't sound right, when you do know that, hold up a second, there's too many holes in that story, and you're able to do a forensic analysis or find someone who can help you with that, you get your closure that way, and that's from God. Because when you have closure about what really happened, you're able to move on. You're able to move on easier. You see, that's another reason why you won't get closure from a narcissist, because the narcissist knows that you want that. But here's the thing. The narcissist isn't going to be able to give you closure because they're not going to be able to answer your questions anyway. They know what they're doing, but they don't know the why. So you can ask them all day long, why did you do this? Why did you do that to me? And if they're not blame shifting or coming up with some excuse, then they're going to tell you that they didn't do that. They're going to try to gaslight, or they're going to simply tell you, I don't know. That's rare, but they don't know why. So you have to remember that spiritually they have no clue. So you're only going to get closure from God. Let's let those notifications continue to go out, and I'm going to do the usual check. I am Michelle Dickey, your host for Truth Seeker Podcast, streaming on the YouTube channel Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center while combating radio frequency for healthier living. Yeah, I know. We know. For healthier living. Hey. Yes, thank you. If y'all don't mind, you can share a quick hello there in the comments below. All right, there, even on the replay. I want to check in and ask y'all, how you doing? How is everybody doing? Please put that in the chat, in the comments, on the replay. Let me know how you're doing. Because this is, it is another journey. It really, truly is. So let me know how you're doing. We're gonna do a quick, I guess you could say, spiritual health check-in. Okay? So you're never going to get closure. You're not going to get closure from a narcissist. You're only going to get closure from God. Because God is the one who's going to reveal to you things that your intuition, ding. See? Your intuition is a God-given gift. It's the one that we ignored, right? When we came across these narcissists, because we're like, nah, man, really? I mean, but they're so cute, right? No. That's that childlike appearance. That's a trap. And so, question from Chris here, it says, is it true that narcissists never truly end a relationship? Yeah. Okay, you can call it a relationship, but I know what you mean. For a narcissist, they don't have relationships. You know what I'm saying? They don't, because they can't relate. That's why they have to mirror. So you want to think about relationship. It's between two people who can relate. It's a friendship between people who can relate to one another. That's a relationship. Narcissists don't have that. They can't relate. They can only emulate. That means copy. They mirror us because they don't have a true identity of their own. And that's often what tricked us, right? Yeah, into thinking that we found somebody, hey, man, wow, we got all this in common. That's awesome. Oh, yeah. It's like, cool, man. Soulmate kind of stuff, right? Wrong. We learned this later on. But they do not end anything. They may appear as though they do. I know a lot of people say, well, the narcissist discard. I got videos on this channel for y'all. The narcissist does not do the actual true blue discarding. It's us that ends up having to do that because we're the ones that have to go no contact, limited or full, and full where possible. It's totally recommended. So y'all can drop your question. Drop your question during the chat and in the comment on the replay. Seriously. Because that's what it's all about here. Iron sharpening iron at Consulting for Heightened Awareness. Woo-hoo! Yeah. We're only going to get closure from God. Because the narcissists don't truly end anything. Well, actually, we call it a situationship. Yeah, we call it a situationship. And then we also have a fellow warrior, Kren, who had coined the term addictionship. Because really, when you think about the trauma bond, yeah, the trauma bond is the addiction to the narcissist and then in turn the abuse. So, yeah, and after we finally, I call it the discarding phase. Yes, a narcissist will initiate a discarding phase, but they won't do the actual discarding. It's us that leaves, usually. Now, if it's our home, then yeah, we're the ones that have to kick them out. You know how that works. But a lot of times it's us that leaves. So we're the ones doing the discard and going no contact. Now, remember something, you all. When a narcissist does blocking, they're going to eventually unblock at some point. Because they can't help themselves. They got to check in on you every once in a while. So there you go. Yeah, situationship. Addictionship. Because when you talk about involvement, that's for another day. That's a broad term right there. But yeah, and so after they initiate the discarding phase and we're gone, we're the ones that finally do the discarding. We're like, okay, and then we got to break the trauma bond. We got to overcome things. And usually during that process of overcoming the withdrawal and all of that. By the way, you all, seriously, CHA Academy, btbw.com listed below, how the trauma bond is formed. That's going to help you tremendously going forward. Absolutely. It's going to help you tremendously. And not only that, we've got individual consulting and coaching sessions to do the same. Okay? Because during that, you're breaking the trauma bond now, right? You've done the actual final discard. Narcissists won't do that because remember, they want to hang on to not only as much supply as they can, but they want to hang on to any illusion of power and control they think they have over target. That's what they do. And so they'll do anything. For example, the ex-psycho roommate, and I kid you not, when I finally left, doing the discard, I left, and I was during the investigation stage, if you will, trying to figure out how he was still tracking me when I know it was not through my device. I was like, how is he still tracking me? Like he would know my moves somehow. Well, we learned quickly how he was doing it through my mobile carrier because he got access to my safe by stunning the motion sensor on the camera that was in my room at the time and broke into not really broke into, he ordered a key, got into my safe and index cards and all that. So the rest is history. But anyway, we've since then, of course, everything's been changed and updated and all of that. But once we figured that out, I took my mobile carrier online account down. They were like, oh my goodness, yeah, oops. Well, take that down. We'll just go paper for a while. So anyhow, that being said, it's because he was trying to hang on to any illusion of power and control that he thought he had over me. And, well, And what he did was, before all of that, before we finally figured it out, he was trying to offer to continue paying for my car insurance like he did in South Carolina. I said, no, I already had. As soon as I moved back to North Carolina, that's one of the first things I did was I switched my license over. I got insurance in that state. I mean, I was good. I was covered. I was like, I had to tell him, I said, no thanks. I said, I'm good. I got my own. Yeah, he's trying to hang on. So that's why I try to tell y'all, narcissists do not do the actual final discard. And so, yes, thank you. A narcissist wants thank you, Warriors Against Narcissism. Bingo. A narcissist wants the authority of a king with the accountability of a toddler. Exactly right. Exactly right. And I've seen that. I've seen that before, and it's very true. But they don't actually do the discard, the final discard. Do it. So we go through all of that, and then we're like, my goodness, are we ever going to get closure? Like, we want to know why. It's like, why did they do this stuff? And then we learn, hello, welcome to God's word. That's where we get our closure. That's why we get our closure from God and God only. And then, of course, we get our closure from one another who shared their testimony, and we're able to relate to one another. So we build a relationship. Okay? Yes. In this growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ. That's it. Because we can give each other a little bit of closure here and there. But God ultimately is the one that gives us closure. And he does it by answering our question with verses, and then showing us all that wickedness that we were like, oh my goodness. Because we do the dot connecting, right? As we go through that, we're wondering if we're ever going to get closure. And so we're connecting dots. We're like, wow, wait a minute. He or she did say that. He or she did do that. Oh man, they were trying to tell us they didn't. So it's like that cloud of cognitive dissonance starts to lift, and things become more clear. And God brings those things back to your remembrance for a reason. Remember something. The whole time, all that crazy making was going down. In your subconscious mind, God was sitting there taking notes. But he already knew all that was going to happen anyway. But he was still taking notes. Because he knew one day you're going to need that closure. Because that closure allows you to move on. Well, see, that's another reason why the narcissist is not going to give you closure. Because they know that if they are able to give you closure, because they're not, but if they could, they know that you would be able to move on. They don't want you to move on. They want you to stay stuck in the ruminating phase. Because staying stuck in the ruminating phase is what tricks a lot of people into living in the past. Because we know in Luke 9, verse 62, that we're not supposed to do that. Got to put our hand on the plow and just keep going forward. We can't be living in the past. But if you're stuck in the ruminating phase, which is what the narcissist wants, because the ruminating phase will keep you in low vibration with them. You see? And so during that ruminating phase is often when craving or you're desiring that closure. So, yeah, you're desiring that closure during the ruminating phase. And so we learn quickly that all we need to do is just turn to God. Turn to God. And he will give us the closure that we need. And so Chris has got a question. It says, does a situationship with the narcissist always go through the same usual stages pattern in a predictable pattern once you know what you are looking for? 100%. 100%. Now, you have different flavors of narcissists, but the situationship is always going to go through the same usual steps. And it often is that real fast. We don't know that it's real fast at first. We don't realize that what they're doing is trying to trauma bond us. So they're moving really quick to try and trauma bond us to them. And then the whole thing just kind of starts to unravel slowly and subtly. So over time, hello, knitting artist, and welcome. So, yes, thank you. Warriors against narcissism. Yes, narcissists operate under the spirit of Jezebel. Yes, the full-blown ones, absolutely. Remember, there are also still some part-time ones. You know, the devil had to have the part-time one as part of his game of confusion. You know, it's the part-time ones. Once we identify the Jezebel, we're like, yo. But the part-time ones, I'm going to tell you, they're intriguing because the part-time narcissists, because they don't dish out. Jezebel will dish out the abuse all the time. It may not look like it, but you got to know the subtle red flags. Okay? And you got to detect the superficial tone of a so-called genuine compliment, right? For example, okay, you're identifying a Jezebel. Let's say you're communicating FaceTime with them. Let's say you wear a certain color of makeup on a pretty regular basis, like your style is, and you're pretty consistent. You might switch it up every now and again, but for the most part, let's say for the past whole week, you've been wearing the same color combination. And you get on FaceTime with the Jezebel, and they go, oh, hey, I like that combination. I'm like, yeah, really? It's the same one I've been wearing all week. We've been talking. Where you at? See, that's like the ding, 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 right? Okay, that was a love bomb. Because they feel like they got to dish out a love bomb every single time they see you. That's pretty obvious. But a part-time narcissist won't do that. There you go. See, a part-time narcissist will not necessarily do that. Try to dish out a love bomb every single time they see you. So, right. And then they also will not dish out the abuse all the time. So it does. It's like, wait a minute. You identify the red flag, but yet 2 to 3 weeks can go by and they don't dish out any abuse. Seriously. Seen it. I got case studies out the wazoo. And I'm like, okay, that's what causes us to ping pong back and forth. Well, maybe they're not a narcissist because they didn't abuse me this week. No. When you spot that red flag and they're dishing out that abuse, doesn't matter if they're not doing it all the time. They are a narcissist. Part-time or not, they are a narcissist. So do not let cognitive dissonance cause you to make excuses for that. Just because they're not dishing it out all the time. Now, Jezebels will find ways to gaslight, manipulate, and all of that. Put words in your mouth. Oh my gosh, that's like the most common thing with Jezebels. They love to try to put words in your mouth. But yes, their patterns are extremely predictable. It's that love bomb. That's right, deval, the devaluing stage, right? They put you up on a pedestal and then they got to pull you right back down. We refer to those as backhanded compliment. And a good example of a backhanded compliment is you're in a workplace, right? And let's say you're in college and you have degrees that are like of a different type of specialty. However, you're getting to another journey. And so you're working a job you've never worked before, but you're learning. You're learning because chosen ones have the ability to learn new things. And so Jezebel comes at you and says, I know this is not your area of expertise, but you adapted well. Wow. The deval came first and then the love bomb. Interesting. Backhanded compliment right there. And so, and so when the Jezebel, remember something about Jezebel, y'all. The Jezebel, they got every single demon spirit attached to them possible. 1/3 of the fallen angel, every single negative emotion. So, yes. And thank you, yes, Chris, with the love bombing, the term wooing is really fitting. Absolutely, okay? Grooming and wooing are very good terms for the love bomb. Absolutely. So, yeah. Exactly. Another reason, they don't want to give you closure so you can move on. They want to keep you in ruminating phase because, like Warriors Against Narcissism points out, says that narcissists, right, very low frequency, they're very low vibing, okay? And, yeah, many people, children, animals can feel their evil, negative vibes, yes. And we don't realize that till God awakens us to all of this, though. But we start to sense it, and now, the further along we get, in the spiritual awakening, in God's reality, we can sense it even more. And it's a pretty strong pull, but it's not strong enough. Glory be to God. It is not strong enough to pull God's chosen one back down there with them. in spirit, that is, or in the physical, for that matter. We're like, hold up a second. We're getting that balance. We spot this stuff. We're like, you know the old saying, remember growing up, they said, talk to the hand. Okay, well, there you go. We don't allow them into our space, into our personal world, if you will, anymore. We learn to just say, you know what? No. But we get our closure from God in many ways. And I'll tell y'all that one of the most common ways, other than his word, in the Bible, he tells us about all their wicked behavior, especially, throughout the book of Proverbs. Oh, man, let me tell you. And then Romans 1 and then 2 Timothy 3, he tells us that lovers of themselves more than lovers of God. So that's pretty clear. And then, of course, we learn about how they don't have any natural affection. How narcissists, you remember trying to hug one? Anybody? Yeah. Many of the narcissists, they try to hug, they do that. They're like stiff as a board, and they just do that little. There's no natural affection with them. Yeah, it's not genuine. They don't mean it. They don't even really want to be hugging you. But they know that, oh, well, if you're trying to hug them, they got to. It's just, they think it's necessary. Oh, well, must do. But they've got that spiritual wickedness in high places. And yeah. So, absolutely. Thank you. And then, next question. Is there really such a thing as degrees of narcissism in people? With some people being more narcissistic than others? Or is a narcissist, but some better at hiding it? Okay, well, you would think that some would be better at hiding it, but you got to think about the age factor, right? The spectrum. Okay, you got to think about younger narcissists. Okay, the younger, when we become aware, okay, that's the thing. Once we become aware, this becomes more obvious to us as we observe more and speak less, that they, even in their early, I should say young adulthood, they can be pretty obvious, especially in the workplace. But the older they get, the sloppier they get. So they mess up. And that's how we start to catch on also. Because they cannot hold up the facade forever. They just cannot. It's too exhausting for them. I mean, they don't have the kind of energy it takes to hold up a facade for very long. Think about this, you all. Why do you think that we have many public figures on the world stage that are the same public figure, but they just change identities? No different than narcissists. They cannot keep up a particular facade for very long. So they got to have another identity because they don't have one of their own. So keep that in mind. And yes, knitting artisan, Jesus did. He sure dealt with the smear campaign, projection, and gaslighting. Absolutely. Yes, he did. Our Savior put up with everything that we as chosen one put up with our entire life. And he addressed projection with telling us to take the log out of our own eye before trying to remove it in someone else's. Exactly. I've talked about that before. Is that we cannot be up here exposing their bad behaviors without recognizing that moot in our own eye, basically. Exactly. And so he does. He tells us about that. Because if we do that, then we're projecting. And that also means we're double-minded. Because many times we've seen the narcissist do this. Many times. And I have too. So y'all are not alone. But they're going to sit there and they're quick to point out the abuse and bad behaviors of everybody else, but not within themselves. And I'm like, okay, that's fine and nice. Not only that, there are a lot of abuse tactics that these narcissists really don't know are abuse. I'm going to tell you that. Yeah, they don't realize. They think somehow that it's normal. Okay, they do. They think some of the things they do are not abuse and normal. And I have to tell you, yeah, they know when they're verbally abusing. Okay, they know that. Okay, they are aware of that when they're trying to get you to second guess your memory and stuff. But some of the gaslighting, I don't think they're aware of as being part of the abuse. I really don't. I think they really think that's normal. Yeah, we're still working on that, by the way. We're always connecting more dots going forward. And yeah, that's funny that you would call them world leaders because they're not even leaders. Narcissists are not leaders, but you're correct. Warriors against narcissists. Those public figures appearing as or trying to act as world leaders, they are narcissists. If not all of them. Because they are actors wearing silicone masks, putting on a dog and pony show for the world stage and for the sleepers. And for many of us, until we knew that's what was going on and that is the game of narcissism, we walked away. I said, I'm not going to go, what? No. You don't get my vote. I'm not voting. I'm done. Y'all sitting there because that stuff's already pre-planned and they already know who, just like the NFL, y'all, for the Super Bowl, they know who wins. Just got to pay attention to the colors of the... Anywho, any of you on TikTok, it's over there. It is over there. But yeah, it's the world stage, and they're up there wearing silicone masks. So, and a lot of the narcissists who are still playing the game of narcissism and all of that have no clue that they're being played. Remember the divide and conquer agenda? Yeah, the chessboard, divide and conquer. You know, divide by hair colors, anything, you name it, age, gender, divide and conquer, right? The devil is all about division. You know, it's not a coincidence that devil and division both start with the letter D. Let that sink in. But yeah, age would bring more experience. Well, I don't know about that. But yeah, it depends. There's so many factors. But yeah, narcissism does exist on a spectrum. But when you get down to the nitty gritty of it all, the underlying foundation is the same for all of them. To steal, kill, destroy. And then try to turn as many other people into a narcissist as possible. And then also to try to get them dependent on man instead of God. By keeping them away from Jesus. But it's funny, though, that they don't even have to do that. Yeah, no, God takes care of that. The moment they accept the entitlement mindset, God says, okay, Jesus, Spirit, you can go back to the spiritual realm and wait in line for the next. I'm telling you. And so that's how God denies access to him. He's a narcissist. Yeah, God denied the narcissist access to him that way. Oh, he's still there. But it's Jesus that he sends back to the spiritual realm when they do that. So, well, yeah, the narcissists that are playing that game of world leadership, yeah, it is psychopathy. You're right about that. It really, truly is. Because the things that they do are extremely psychopathic. Head games, and then the stuff that they make up. I mean, really, all kinds of crazy making. And, okay, well, yeah, of course they know what they're doing because everything, yeah, they change their behavior. Well, that's common for narcissists. They change their demeanor depending on who the audience is. Exactly. That's exactly what they do. So, yeah, see, I gotcha. Yeah, see, listen, chosen one, if your name begins with a letter, and that's a good letter, okay? It's a good letter. I'm not saying that letter D is bad because devil and division start with the letter D. I'm just pointing that out. I'm just pointing that out. One of those things I pay attention to. Like, I know we've got fellow warriors, we really pay attention to wording and words, right? Because there's words within words, like lies and the word believe, and anywho. But yeah, but they do, narcissists change their behaviors depending on who it is they're trying to impress, the audience. And so their narrative changes. That's why it's all like, wait a minute, didn't they last year, weren't they campaigning and standing for this? This is why we stop playing. This is why we stay out of it. We stay out of it. The P matrix is about the lust for power. Thank you. It is very true. Hidden under the pretense of solving problems that they didn't create the problems, they cause them. Remember, narcissists and the devil cannot procreate. That's why they have to steal other people's ideas. This is why we tell y'all, move in silence. If God gives you a vision, put it on the board, but your eyes only. Don't see that. Okay? That's between you and God. So moving in silence, because they will try to steal ideas. They don't have any original ideas of their own. Narcissists are not original at all. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you for sharing that with us. I mean, I don't mind saying knitting artisan. But I know that's your business and everything. But thank you, fellow warrior. So, and that's true. Narcissists are the goats, the seeds of Satan. Well, that's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it, because they are programmed to be the soldiers for the devil. They're programmed that way. The tell lie vision plays a huge role in that. So they are. But the devil cannot procreate. So I used to say, are they spawns of the devil? But considering that he cannot procreate, only God can create, that changes things a bit. So it's about the fact that narcissists are programmed to be the minions for the devil. They are the devil's minions. And right, that's why I was saying that the problems that are caused, they run away from them. They don't want to solve them. Think about this. If those narcissists out there actually wanted to solve the problems that they caused, then nobody would re-elect them. Think about that for a moment. They're just going to play out the same old over and over again. Those so-called problems are not going to get solved. Chosen ones, you know what? Step into our God-given purpose, leave that alone, and just stay on the narrow path. Continue healing and growing and getting closer to God. Get to the other side of that rainbow, where you get that balance between the spiritual and the physical, and you can see these things a lot quicker. And you can understand better that, it gets to that point where we're like, enough is enough. And then when we realize we cannot get closure from them, then we know we can get closure from God. Let me share with you all something. Today was a huge final thing, because there was something I didn't realize was still nagging in my subconscious about that Jezebel case study, a why behind a particular thing. And then, and so today, as I was doing the daily self check-in, God revealed it to me. He revealed the why. And it made perfect sense. And it had to do with a particular body area of healing, if you will. I was like, why, after all this time, I said, why is that doing that? Why is that, and then he reminded me of some things that I'm going to come out with all of this detail by detail at some point, but I had to work this out. And this is why I was like, oh, okay. So that's why God put that project on hold for right now, because there was a few unanswered things I didn't realize I needed closure for. But God gave it to me. And God gave me the closure for some things that Jezebel case study did. And I'm like, oh. And so once that happened, It was not even several minutes. Okay. Not so much I have moved on from it, yes. But there was that one lingering something that just was not adding up. It just was not adding up. Because I know that God also restores by reversal. And I said, well, if that's the first thing she did, how come that's healing before something else? I said, this is not adding up. So I was like, hold up a second. Well, I mean, everything's healing, but there's different phases of that. And I was like, listen, chosen one, when you know your body, you know your body. And I'm like, why does this remind me of, oh my goodness, of course. So that closure, and like I said, within minutes, that area of the body was able to relax. So my point here is that if you are still experiencing any tension from the traumatization and you want closure, that's another reason why a narcissist won't give you closure, because they know if you get closure, not only can you move on, but you can relax. The tension starts to go away once you get closure. It's mental, totally. Okay, it's not just spiritual, but mental as well. And so, what the judges? What? Not to my knowledge. I mean, I don't know, and I don't care if she's using some other phone numbers trying to hoover. I mean, every once in a while, I get a weird text message like, "Right, never mind." It's just like, "Hey." Every once in a while, it's weird. I know it's a hoover. I don't answer. I block and delete. That's it. Don't faze me none. But I do know that the Jezebels and other narcissists do pop in every once in a while on these live streams because they want to see how we're doing. They want to see if we're in any pain and suffering. And guess what? We're not. So I say the joke's on them. Okay, the joke is on them because we're not. We're doing everything that God is guiding our steps to do. Self-care. He's the one that, God is in full control, y'all. You got to know that. God is always in full control. And there ain't nothing that no narcissist or Jezebel is going to be able to do to stop that, but we get our closure from God. And as soon as we get closure, our body can relax. Our mind can relax. And we can move past that ruminating phase. And see, that's the thing. Narcissists don't past that ruminating phase. Because they know once you do that, you're going to unpack that bag. Once you move past that ruminating phase, that you are going to start to unpack that bag of talents and gifts that God put on the inside of you. And then you go step into your purpose and woohoo! Ain't no stopping no chosen one. Nope. So, narcissists must be genetically different than the rest of us. Thank you, Chris. We've, okay. Yeah, we have, so I see y'all having a conversation over there, the difference between sheep and goats. And so that the sheep are followers. Well, that's why we refer to the sleepers out there in the matrix as sheeple, because they're merely followers. Narcissists are not leaders. They're followers. Now, the ones that are trying to play a role that's supposed to be considered a leadership role, they're just acting. They're just acting. Right. Okay. There you go, y'all. Okay. Marriage to a narcissist. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Warriors Against Narcissism shared that marriage to a narcissist is a trap. Absolutely. It really is. It's why would the church take sides with the narcissist by telling people they cannot divorce? See, that's it. That's true. There's a lot of churches. That's why we don't, the spirit of religion. Religions are cults. And that's why we don't operate like that. We are not under the spirit of religion up in here. Not in this ministry. It's all Holy Spirit led, 100%. We want nothing to do with that. Because there are a lot of religion and churches that will tell you that you can't divorce. And that is precisely how they take the side of the narcissist. Because you got to remember, the devil infiltrates anything and everything he possibly can. So, yeah, okay, listen, y'all, they're having a party in the chat. Yep, joyful, happy, and full of peace. Thank you. Absolutely. So, okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, there y'all go. See, that's why I said the chat's for y'all too. And I'm going to check in once in a while and see what y'all talking about. Because there's an and more going on in the chat. Here's what I'm saying, y'all. The chat is for all y'all to get to know one another. Absolutely. Share your insights and listen. In this ministry, you have a voice. You are allowed to be who you are in Christ unapologetically. That's the other thing we learn. Once we've got closure, see, there you go. Narcissists don't want us to have closure for that reason too, because they know that if we get that closure and we finally do move on and we get our voice right, we oh my gosh, we take back control of our mind, we take back control of ourselves, we take back control of our life, and we find our voice again and we start speaking. They know that once we start speaking, it's going to be the Holy Spirit that's going to catch the attention of fellow chosen one, and that God is going to grant us his inheritance that he promises, because we're going to be out here preaching and teaching and educating and bringing all of y'all together in this growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ, where iron sharpens iron just like we're supposed to. We're not supposed to be out here doing what the narcissists do. While they continue to belittle everybody, they continue to put people down because they think it makes them feel better somehow. They don't realize that the devil's time is always short. So when they do that, it's very short-lived, and then they're miserable within 5 minutes again. If you ever noticed that, if you watch them when they do that, right, they'll dish out verbal abuse and laugh about it. A lot of times trying to say, oh, I was just joking. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. They meant what they said. Yeah, that mean, cruel, so-called joke, they meant what they said. And so they're going to try to pass it off as a joke. So while they're doing that, right, and then they're laughing at themselves, or they're laughing at the fact that whoever it is who may not be aware yet, anytime it used to bother us, or we might, tear up a little, they would have that moment of glee. I'm not going to say happiness, because they don't even know what that is. They had a moment of glee. But it was very short, because the devil's time was always short. It was very short, very short-lived. So within 5 minutes, they've got that look of misery on their face again, and they're looking for someone else to dish out the abuse, to try to pick themselves back up. That's pretty sick, don't you think? That's pretty sick when these narcissists have to go around and search for people that they can pick on and make fun of and laugh at and mock just to try to make themselves feel better, even if it's just for a few minutes. That's pretty sick. That's evil. And so, yeah. Okay, and then truth and humor, absolutely. Now, when you say dark humor, you're talking dark humor down there. Talking, the narcissists don't really have a sense of humor. Okay, they really don't. Their sense of humor, if you will, is often very much perverted. A lot of the stuff, they think all that stuff is funny, and it's not. But they're not going to grow up. But they're going to continue dishing out all of that negative stuff. They're going to continue putting people down, because that's what they do. That's all they know how to do. And like I said, it gives them that brief moment of superiority. It gives them a brief moment of feeling, I guess you could say, good for a moment. but it quickly fades. That's why they got to look for someone else within 5-10 minutes after doing that to try and pick themselves back up. Because inside they're miserable. I mean, take a look at oh my gosh, the looks on their faces. They cannot hide those micro expressions. And yet they've been turned, thank you, they have reprobate mind. Absolutely. Narcissists have reprobate mind. They have no intellect because God turned them over to a reprobate mind because they failed to keep him in his keep him in their knowledge, excuse me. That's in Romans chapter 1. And so he tells us, I mean, it's like God tells us what he does to these narcissists right there in the Bible. So like in 2 Thessalonians 2, verses 10 through 13, he tells us how he sends them strong delusion, so they shall believe a lie. That's why they continue to believe the devil's lies out here in the matrix. Because God sends them those strong delusions. And I'm going to tell y'all something. When we say that narcissists are delusional, sometimes I feel like that's an understatement. Because you have to remember, for those who have not heard this yet or read about it in Real Events of Narcissistic Abuse, my latest book, let me tell you, that ex-psycho roommate, I had no idea that he conjured up this fantasy when I moved down with him in South Carolina to become a live-in maid. I mean, it was a sweet deal. I'm getting my master's degree online, so I was like, I can study, and then I've got room and board, no rent in exchange for keeping the house clean. Hey, I got this, right? Ooh, that's a dream, isn't it? Oh yeah, especially when you're in college. So I also ended up getting a cleaning gig where he worked as the handyman, a little family-owned Airbnb rental property that had, I think, about 7 rooms, if I recall correctly. People would check in and check out. And a monkey could do that job. So I was like, okay, yeah, I could take that on. Earn a little extra on the side. Yeah, sure. And I was like, doing that and not really knowing yet, because his math didn't slip right away. But I started, within about that year, I started picking up on some stuff. I was like, wait a minute. I said, he's starting to act a little funny. At least from the person that I met like 4 years prior to that. But you got to remember, when I was in undergrad, we shared a 2-bedroom apartment as roommates while I was attending on campus and online. I was a hybrid student in undergrad. Well, he decided he wanted to go be the handyman at his sister's vacation home there in South Carolina. And so we moved me into a 1-bedroom. I was like, okay, cool. So I could still finish my degree, and I was working. I actually got a on-campus work-study position at that time. I have to tell y'all something. That was the best job in my entire life, was working on campus. Seriously, it was the best job ever. But anyhow, that being said, and then I relocated after graduation. I thought I was going to have something lined up with that bachelor's degree by then. But yeah, we learned that narcissists, oh yeah, they'll do a smear campaign and stuff like that. And that will prevent you from being able to get employment. Oh yeah, we learned. I know he had something to do with that. So anyway, I'm forced now to, if I want to keep a little of my independence, right, not have to move back with parents, right? So I go down there and be the living maid. He's the handyman, I'm the living maid. Okay, cool bean. And then where he was working as a handyman, I go down and be the cleaning lady. I'm like, okay, I didn't see the pattern right away. I see it now, but I didn't know that how delusional they are. Is that he conjured up somehow in his sick, twisted mind that I was his wife. I kid you not. How did I find out? Well, one day when I had a case of juice that when I went on the blood type diet, I realized, oh, that's on the avoid list. I put it by the door because I was going to take it to a donation center. I was going to donate it. And I told him that. And he just said, he looked at the box and he goes, wow, he goes, that's a waste of money. And I went, excuse me? I said, what are you talking about here? I said, that's not your money to pay for it. I'm going to donate it anyway. So no, it's not a waste. It's going to go to those who need, somebody who needs it, the needy. And it dawned on me at that point. I went, oh my gosh. No, he didn't. He was trying to act like we share finances or something. I went, oh, because then other things that were going on with this girl he brought on that was supposed to get trained to do the cleaning, and oh my gosh. Now I realize why he put spyware on my device, because he had a pretend mistress. I would tell you, it's still funny to this day because, oh my gosh, he was a roommate. That's it. But that's how delusional they are. That's what they do. Narcissists conjure up this thing and then, oh my gosh, this role that you're supposed to play. That's how sick they are. Spiritual wickedness in high places. A strong delusion, I tell you. I was like, wow. And so what he was doing was, he was causing a similar situation to one of his previous marriages where he did cheat and he had a mistress and all that. He was trying to conjure that back up, because you got to remember something. What do we know about narcissists? Yeah, they're thrill seekers. They are after their adrenaline. It's an adrenaline rush to sneak around and cheat, right? Because they're always like, oh, I hope we don't get caught. I hope we don't get caught. And so that feeds their adrenaline. You know, like, pretend mistress, really? Wow. Okay, that is how delusional they are. So let me check on over here after telling this story. And that also illustrates how stupid they are. That's a reprobate mind in action right there. And they are empty shells. Thank you, Cindy. Various entities can move into and inhabit, you know, like a crab shell. There you go. That's a good way to put it. Empty vessels. Empty vessels make the most noise. Oh, all that chaos and drama. Oh, yeah. That's very true. Empty vessels make the most noise. Echo! Oh, 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 oh. All right. I could not resist. It's like they do. They conjure up. And they really, truly do believe those illusions. That because God said so, they'll believe a lie. Yep. And so, did the ex-psycho ever say that he loved you? Well, okay. In a friendship kind of way, yeah. And did I ever get the feeling that he loved me as a friend? Right. Well, because the type of love that I consider that would be a friendship type of love is definitely not mushy-gushy. It's definitely not romantic. It's just mutual. Like, you know, we're going to respect one another. We're not going to try to harm anybody. You know, nobody's trying to harm anybody. And I don't expect you to betray me, kind of thing. So I did feel like there was a friendship type of love there, you know, where we were cool with one another, you know, like, hey, we can hang out once in a while. But then when I started to lose the desire to go and bar hop and things, I was really into my master's degree. I was like, we got to get this done. And then I was like, you know what? Because I had another journey that I'm in now. And I said, we're going to go further. So I was like, I got to really cut out all distractions. And so I started to lose fleshy desires along the way. And I didn't realize I was in repentance already. Because that's around the time that he turned and looked at me. He was like, you're no fun anymore. I'm like, huh? Okay. Oh, and he did accuse me while I was in the study room working on some homework, get something turned in before going to work. And he did accuse me. He said, you know, maybe you're spending way too much time in your own little world with school that you forget there's a big world out here. And I was like, wow, talk about a projection right there. He told on himself right there. He's the one all caught up in his own mind that he doesn't realize that there's a really big world out here. So, but did I ever get the friend? Well, yeah, I mean, at first I thought. But then I started to realize that there was zero type of love anywhere when he started basically going nuts. And of course, the angry narcissist did tell me that he loved me. But y'all got to remember something. What we start to notice when a narcissist says they love us is very flat. Their tone is very flat. We didn't catch that at first. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's very superficial. Whereas when the chosen one says, it's like, I'll tell you, I'll say, God loves you, I love you. You can hear the difference between, let's see if I can mimic a narcissist. I'll try. But they are basically superficial. They go, I love you. Like it's very forceful, like they're forcing themselves. And I'm like, man, that sounds weird. Like it's not even real. So, yeah. And, well, thank you, Chris. That's true. When the ex-psycho did that about my case of aloe juice that I realized was not approved on my blood type diet, that is so Judas. Yes, it is. Thank you. Oh my gosh, that is so Judas. Judas Iscariot, right there. Exactly. Right. Their money and our money. Well, yep, that's it, Cindy. They have that mentality of what theirs is theirs and what ours is theirs. Okay, that's the mind of a narcissist right there. That's what they think. And so, right, would try not to ever allow a narcissist to control the finances. You got that right. Oh, gosh, Cindy, that is so common. And, right, and so when they, married you and put you in the role of mother and slave, exactly, that's what the angry ex did with me as far as the mother. Not necessarily a slave type, but the mother for sure. Oh, my gosh, I remember I was like, why does it feel like I gotta be his mama? Like, now I understand. But many of us, I know we've gone through that. And you fellas probably wondered why that female narcissist was putting you in the role of dad, wanting you to play a daddy role. Yeah, see, that's how it goes. Because remember, I did a video right here on this channel where I talk about how narcissists, they're not looking for a partner. They're looking for a parent. They're looking for someone to play the parental role. They want to be coddled. They want their hand held. They want, oh, yeah. That's why we coined the term spoiled brat syndrome as well, because that's what they are. They are selfish, spoiled brats. Exactly. So, yeah, never forget that. And, right, okay, good for you, Cindy. That echo void within what I did, yeah, okay. Cindy, I found my people. Yeah, there you go. Welcome. Yes, I'm glad. That's why. See, that's why I've seen this on Facebook where it says, just keep on showing up. Your people will find you. It's like, I don't call y'all my people. We are fellow spiritual warriors for Christ. We are in a growing community of fellow spiritual warriors for Christ. Because we are in this, yeah, we are becoming a strong nation, right? Remember Isaiah 60:22. It's not just about God hastening things on his time, but it's also about the little one shall become 1,000 and the strong, right, a strong nation, right? Yeah, that's what's happening here. In this ministry, we're becoming a strong nation. You found your place. You found your place where you have a voice. Be who you are. You can talk about, hey, I could be up here talking about, finding closure from God, and y'all in the chat having a party, talking about blood type. Hey, cool. That's why I said it's for y'all. I know some people are like, well, don't you need to keep it on topic? I'm like, oh gosh, why do you gotta be so narcissistic? Let them be who they are. That's fine. I'll check in, and if they're okay, that's cool. But I'll keep it going. And it's all about they're getting to know one another. I'm getting to know me. And I talk about the blood type diet a lot. So, hey, go right there. All right. So I'm glad. I love that. Thank you. And narcissists are definitely like vampires with one goal. They want to destroy you. That's it. In mind, body, and soul. Right? They want to cause havoc with your, okay, yeah. We do learn that. So, yeah, being with narcissists definitely will play havoc with our digestion and our adrenaline. Oh my gosh, keeping you walking on eggshells. But never forget, there's another part to all of this. I learned this lesson the hard way. It's not just being around narcissists that does all that with the digestion. It's radio frequency poisoning that also interferes with our digestion. When our body is exposed to more than it can adapt to in a given time, that will also interfere with our digestion. So I know, yeah, I was going to say, normally I keep it to about an hour, but if I see y'all, let's keep going. Okay, I see y'all up there. Talking and stuff like that. And so, yeah, narcissists are definitely vampires. They're energy and emotional vampires. I also have a video on this channel about that too. Because they really are. I've got several actually. I want to say there should be a short playlist. But if you're not already on this channel, when you get time, you can always go, I believe you can go to my channel, and in the search query, you can always put narcissist or emotional or energy and emotional or emotional and energy vampire. And what I've got available should pop right up, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know. I have to think about if that's how that works or not. So yeah, they are. And because they got to feed off of everybody else's energy. They don't have any of their own. They cannot re-energize. Narcissists don't have empathy. Y'all got to remember something. It is empathy. It is our God-given empathy that allows us as chosen one to re-energize. That's what we're able to do it naturally because of the Godhead on the inside. It is through Christ who strengthens us that we do what we do and that we're able to make with God all things are possible. So being able to naturally re-energize, chosen ones have that ability because we have our God-given empathy. Empathy, energy, both begin with the letter E. That's not a coincidence. I know evil does too, but in this context, the positive context is that empathy is where we get our energy from, our spiritual energy. We're able to re-energize naturally. We don't need an external source to be energized. We just need an external source. Remember, narcissists are dependent on all things external. This is why chosen ones realize, hold on a minute. We don't need to be dependent on all things external, like external stimuli. We don't need to be dependent on it. Listen, I would tell you, I don't know who needs to hear this, but I don't have to turn no music on if I want to dance, because I get that beat going in my mind. Oh yeah, like there ain't no music going on. I can just dance. I don't need external stimuli. See what that looks like? Okay. But narcissists wouldn't be able to keep a beat without external stimuli. Kind of like singing a cappella. No music. It does take talent for that. I'm not saying narcissists can't do that if they memorize, but I think a lot of them lip sync. But anyhow, I'm just saying. World stage, illusion. What can you believe? Yep. Oh man, let me tell y'all something. Spammers have been emailing me left and right lately. Welcome to the game of narcissism on the world stage. So, there you go. Yep. That's it right there, as I alluded to earlier. Oh, okay. Thank you, Sydney. You're talking about, oh, and his mother and daughter were something else. You know what? I bet, because if they're right, if they're anything like him, then of course. So exactly, there you go. Remember, y'all, narcissists are also diggers. Narcissists are gold diggers. Yeah, men and women, narcissists. But you get a lot of them. Yeah, you could. It's easier to tell the female gold digger, though, for whatever reason. It's much easier to tell because, well, they will, right, a young female narcissist, let's say in their 30s, is going to seek out a wealthy older man in their 60s or 70s. And let me tell y'all something. That 67-year-old wealthy man ain't stupid. Oh, he'll take her on. He'll marry her. But she ain't gonna get nothing when he passes. I've heard multiple testimonies of that, and I was like, oh, cha-ching. Made sure that narcissist didn't get a dime. Oh, I mean, she could get whatever she wanted while he was alive. But once he passed away, and she would be expecting to inherit the mansion and all that. It is what it is. But I said, that's really cool that they're not stupid. And the phrase "build it and they will come." Well, I think that I've heard "build it and they'll destroy it." That's what I've heard. That can be like. They can be who they are right after they vacate your proximity. Right, okay. And then RH negative blood, I really don't know. I don't know. The only thing I can think of for that would be RH. I'm going to jump in on that conversation for just a moment with the blood type. Because blood type diet doesn't matter about negative or positive. So if you want to go on the blood type diet, be a negative, RH, or whatever, none of that matters. The food is the food. Avoid beneficial, neutral. But as far as the RH, the negative and positive, basically is a requirement if you need a blood transfer. That's where that would be coming in to play. But I don't know about narcissists sniffing blood type out. I don't think that matters to them. No. I don't think a narcissist cares. And that, right. Well, that's a good point, Chris. How the narcissists want to try and feed us to the devil through their demon spirits. Try. That's the key word right there. Try. And thank you, warriors against narcissism. They do. Right. They always target the high frequency empath. That's the thing. Bingo, right there. Narcissists will always target the high frequency empaths, and that's what we are, chosen ones, because we are vibing high, because we're positive thinkers, we're optimistic, we're energetic. We're like, yo, we have a great outlook on life, and we know that we can do anything that we set our minds to. So thank you, Chris. I got the groove. Oh my goodness. Okay. Right. And yeah. And there you go. That celebrity testified. She didn't get nothing. Okay. So, okay. Cindy said, meeting with you, me as his mother and daughter were other things to him. Okay. Nasty. Okay. Got it. And then said his mother lusted after him and he lusted after his daughter. Oh my gosh. That's common. That is common. Okay. His mother, you know what? That is true. Female narcissists who have sons will lust after their son. And then male narcissists who have daughters will lust after their daughters. Absolutely. Oh, look, it is. It's in the Bible too. I don't recall exactly where with all of that, but it is sick. But that's just the way it is, and that's the way they are because of their spiritual wickedness in high places. Yeah, incest is a thing with them. Absolutely. But I want to point something out to y'all that this really is a good topic for another day, because we can sit here and actually debate that. I'm not saying, listen, it definitely don't feel right to us now. However, you have to take into consideration Adam and Eve. All right, well, they had children. Well, how were they going to be fruitful and multiply unless it was with each other? I know somebody's going to give me slack for that. But you have to think about it. And then their children had children. Well, how were they going to multiply? And then so forth, right? Because God only made Adam and then Eve from his rib. Something to think about. But it doesn't make it right in modern times. Right. Okay. And they don't. That's the thing. Yeah, narcissists don't. They do not. They don't like boundaries or rules. That's right, Cindy. But I'll tell you, they like their own rules. Oh, yeah. Yeah. See, they want us to follow their rules, but no rules for thee. That's how it goes with the narcissist. Right, and their rules or God-given commandments. Of course, they do the opposite of what God tells us to do and not to do. I say that often for a reason. Yep. Thank you. Leviticus 18. Okay, okay. I'm going to write that down, and we'll touch on that. Yep, thank you. Talking about the incest and all of that. And so, Lord help you with stepdaughters and sons with narcissists. Let me tell you something. The stepdad that was a Jezebel in the previous environment where I was at, I caught him several times looking where he should not have been looking. I sure did. But I knew where it was coming from. Because I recognized that he was a Jezebel. He didn't know it. But I knew. Yeah, I know that. Thank you. Warriors Against Narcissism is like, good. You want to try not to ever, don't ever leave your kids or pets alone with a narcissist because they are super weird. Yes. They are the ones who are super weird while labeling us as being weird because we're not like them. Wow. Glory be to God that we're not like them. I mean, really. And so realize the hard way that there's a reason God put certain things in the Bible, because there are people that actually do them. Good point. Excellent point. And that's another reason why you're only going to find closure from God. Okay, not just in the Bible, but in his revelation. When he reveals things to us. It's really important to understand that, God is an awesome God. He is not going to lead us astray in any way. But he's the one who's going to give us the closure. And so, because I would check firsthand, like I said, if you are a stepchild to a narcissist, they will lust after the stepchild too. Yep, absolutely. And so remember what God says about that. That if you so much as look at another person with perverted thinking, that you have already committed adultery. I'm paraphrasing, but you know what I'm talking about. You've already looked at them with a lustful eye. then you've already committed adultery. You don't even have to touch them. But see, the world and these narcissists, they want everybody to believe that cheating can only be cheating if it's physical. Oh, but chosen ones, we know better. We know all about these online chat rooms. And nowadays, private chats, text messages. Yeah. And then I want y'all to pay attention to this one about narcissists too, because I had this happen one of the previous toxic workplaces that I was in. Because I was like, why is that? I knew he was an over bully. I said, now why is he changing his phone number like every few months? Well, I'm not going to deny it. I mean, he was not bad looking, okay, if you're looking in that sense. However, he had to change his phone number so many times because once he got done and was bored with the supply, he couldn't keep up with them all. And so, and I realized that and I went, oh, well, that's why he had to change his number so often. Of course, I had to laugh because I'm like, well, you bring that on yourself. I knew what he was doing. And he uses, narcissists will use their kids as bait and to get attention. And he did that. That one there used his young son, who I probably no more than 3, the toddler, but used his son to get attention. Oh, I saw it. It was written all over his face. The micro expressions. He just loved it when he brought his son to work and how everybody just oohed and awed. And all the talk just centered around his son. Yeah. Proud papa over there. You got to remember something. Watch out for that word proud because it represents pride. Every time I go out here and I see a company that has it on their vehicle or sign or whatever, proudly serving this community since whenever, and I'm like, yep, there's that high pride. That's a subliminal message. Because that's the trick of the devil. I know you would say, well, being proud, now we're supposed to be joyful. God is very clear that pride goeth before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. Pride. We don't need to be proud. No. So I see these memes, right? That if something about making it through the day and da. I told you I'm proud of you, and I'm like, ooh, that's not good. So we learn to change that word proud into joyful. I'm joyful that I was able to accomplish. You'll find out, chosen one, how easy it is to purge that word proud from your vocabulary. Because it's better to be joyful. Proud is not a good word. God tells us why. It's that pride that leads to that high-mindedness too. That high pride we're not supposed to have. So remember that. Says that I wish they wouldn't multiply. In the beginning, God allowed that because it had to be, but later he said that incest is wrong. Yeah, I think, God said, okay, the population has expanded enough that there's enough variety that y'all shouldn't have to do that anymore. There comes a time. But right, the earth had to populate it first. So God's like, okay, but now, hold up. God changes things up. Remember, God switches things up, and that's just one good example. So yeah. And when we talk about why the narcissists, they are, narcissists are the perfect candidate for becoming sterile. Yeah, you heard me. Yeah, they should go get their tubes tied or whatever it is that they do these days. And yeah, we can tell right there the reasons you're divorcing. Absolutely. And right, Adam knew Eve, the fully right going on in the garden. Okay, thank you, Chris. And then, absolutely, that's the other thing. Warriors Against Narcissism makes a great point that, yeah, a lot of narcissists, they are obsessed with pornography. Of course, that feeds their spiritual wickedness in high places. Revolving number along with the revolving door. Yeah, okay, exactly. So, but there you go, everybody. Yeah, just remember to take the word proud and replace it with joyful, because proud is not a good thing. We didn't know that because, well, God hadn't awakened us to it all yet. But now that we do, we're like, hold up a second. We got to do things differently. Yes, we must do things differently. And that's one of them. It's to remember that we cannot be proud. We can be joyful. I mean, I want y'all to think about something. Proud, right? Okay. How far does that go, right? Remember, God said pride goeth before destruction. But joyful is everlasting. Joyful doesn't destroy anything. Joy, being joyous, happiness, that doesn't destroy anything. That's positive. That's high vibing. That's optimistic. That's peace. That high pride leads to competitiveness. Yeah, for that overinflated ego. The game of narcissism is full of that competition, being competitive, all that. So we got to remember that we don't play that game, chosen one. So I want to thank everybody. And I want to thank all of y'all who will be dropping some insights and things in the comment on the replays as well. Don't hesitate to reach out, because there's a lot that goes into the behaviors of these narcissists and what God tells us about them, and then how God sets the record straight. That's why we get up here. When we come across a false narrative, I've got several videos on this channel. I highly encourage y'all. It's Intervention Time, I believe, is the name of the. Yeah. I don't want to steer y'all wrong. I don't want to steer you all wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look for it real quick, because it's where when I come across a narrative that I know is either truth mixed with lies, I'm going to bring it to y'all's attention. And I'm going to tell y'all, don't fall for that. And then also, because we realize we're dealing with a narcissistic matrix out here. And it's titled Intervention Time. Let me see if I can't get, it's titled Intervention Time. If you catch this on the replay, I'm going to try to, don't fall for that Pride Month. Don't fall for that. Don't fall for that. That's part of the dog and pony show. It's part of the evil in this world. Okay, but that playlist, okay, Intervention Time. I've got 18 videos in that playlist. So if you are on my channel, you go to my channel and if you go to my channel and you'll see, of course, and then they'll have some for you. Okay, you see the shorts. Take a look at them shorts. Thank you to all of y'all who have done that. You've sat there and you've watched all of our shorts and you've given each and every one of them a thumbs up. Thank you. God bless you. And also thank you to all of you who give these videos, all of our videos, a thumbs up. All right. Thank you. And then you'll see, if you scroll down, you'll see create a playlist. And so if you scroll the playlist, you'll come across the one Now, I mean, on the PC, I know it's organized a bit differently, but yeah, you'll be able to find that intervention time playlist, okay, on the channel, because really, I highly encourage y'all to take a look at those, because we're setting the record straight, just like God does, just like God does. Okay, everybody. And so I'm going to say that wraps up today's episode. Almost a full hour and a half. How about that? Full hour and a half. I love it with you guys. So, and you know, that's a great point too, is that having pride over children, vicariousness. Exactly. Remember, narcissists want to live vicariously through their children and other people's successes. They have high pride. I had the Jezebel that gave birth to me admit that because she was my mother, she had bragging rights. And I was like, oh, well, that's not what God says. Well, okay. I didn't say nothing. I was not gonna. No, we learned we do not confront a narcissist about their narcissism. Yeah, we learned the hard way not to do that. All right, so we made it a full hour and a half. We're gonna wrap it up. Well, thank you, Cindy. I appreciate y'all. Okay, y'all are treasures also. Okay, remember, thieves don't break into empty houses, because what God has put on the inside of chosen ones is very valuable. Never forget that. All of y'all, you got that value on the inside of you. This is why the narcissists target chosen one. Don't forget that they target each other too, but they like to go after and chase the high-vibing empath. So y'all keep on keeping on. I highly encourage y'all to check out the links below to learn more about the ministry and this work. And you can always get my book, Real Events of Narcissistic Abuse, right on the website, easy peasy PDF download. Of course, you can get it on Amazon and other ebook places, but the audiobook is only available on the website. You can get that. And you take a walk with me on my journey into God's reality as you learn more about how the ministry came to fruition. I am sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your continued support. Till next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father, and you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.